Hello, this is Duck Series, aka Connor. Here for a review of Season 22, Episodes 1 through 6. These are by UK Airdate, and I basic drawings. If you're wondering why I'm not using footage, it's because I don't want a copyright. I know it's legal to use footage, but people do get copyright for it, so... Warning, this video contains my opinions. They're my opinion, so it's okay if you like this episode. It's okay if you hate Number 1 Engine. Same with the others. If you like them, hate them, it's perfectly fine. All fine. Let's begin with the first episode, Number 1 Engine. Number 1 Engine is written by Davey Moore. So here I drew a picture of Hong Mei. Sorry, I actually messed up. She's not really that slanted and big. And Thomas, and I drew his water tank a bit too small, but... Oh well, the next picture is better, don't worry. Number 1 Engine. The plot is Thomas is in China. They do not explain if this takes place during the movie or if this takes place after the movie. Big World, Big Adventures. And he starts off by saying he has this really... There's actually a funny part in the fantasy sequence. He says to An and Yin Long, my coaches on Sodor, Annie and Clarabelle love it when I go really fast. And they're like, really? And then he says, oh, yes. Once I went so fast, I went over the moon. And it totally pokes fun, and it's, like, funny. They say, that doesn't sound very believable. Are you sure that happened, Thomas? And then he falls down, and then he says, it wasn't quite like that, but it felt like that. Yeah, so... And then he races Hong Mei. An and Yin Long tell him to take a shortcut, but they crash on some rocks. And then Hong Mei... That fell off of Hong Mei's cars. Pretty good episode. Not the best, in my opinion. Probably a 7 out of 10. Let's get on to the next episode. Forever and Ever. It says, is that me? There's a worker and there's Gordon. And I'm extra proud of this one. So, because, you know, Mattel thought Edward and Henry aren't marketable, and they got them out of the Steam team and replaced them with Nia and Rebecca. So this episode has a lot of things wrong with it. I actually heard on the Thomas Wikia this was voted by most people to be the best Sodor episode. Why? I thought everyone hated this episode, but apparently not, which is okay. So, yeah. This one, I just dislike it because here's why. Gordon's upset that Edward left. In my eyes, at least, Gordon doesn't really like Edward. Like, he doesn't treat him nicely, at least. Like, in Edward's exploit, Gordon and Edward... Edward and Gordon, my bad. You know, even old reliable Edward from season 18. That episode from season 6, Edward the Really Useful Engine? I can't remember the title, sorry. So he's upset that Edward's left, and he's just upset, and then Henry leaves, just randomly. And here's where it gets bad. A, he's upset that Edward left. B, then he goes to the docks, and he's like, Edward, so, what do you think? Why, thank you, Gordon. Again. But I'm quite happy at Wellsworth. And then, he shunts coaches. He shunts, which he wouldn't do. He normally never shunts. He says the attendant shouldn't shunt. And he pulls Annie and Clarabelle. And, you know, this out of character. Like, that's the biggest problem. This, in my opinion, is the worst episode of the season. It is a bad episode, in my opinion. This is just my opinion. I give this episode a 2.5 out of 10. It is bad. Next episode. Episode 3. Confusion Without Delay. So here I drew Rebecca, Edward, and Gordon. Why Edward, you may ask? Well, because he has a speaking role in this episode. Henry doesn't. So this episode, oh my gosh, it's good. It's really good. So, and I drew Gordon because he's in character in this episode, unlike the last one. So the plot is, a new engine, Rebecca, arrives on Sodor. She B's too early. And then, B's too early and thinks that these engines are so good on Sodor. And Gordon's in character. When she arrives, Sir Topham says, "She's come to help Gordon during busy times." Oh, the indignity. My dream was a brownie vase. So then she does a lot of, she B's too early. And then Sir Topham it's funny when he says, "You've caused confusion under," and he's like trying to say confusion and delay, and then he ends up saying a great deal of confusion. And then she says to the Flying Scotsman, "Hello, my name's Rebecca. I don't know why you keep calling Gordon little brother. You look about the same size to me. If anything, I think Gordon looks bigger." And then Gordon sort of is friends with her. This is a good episode. I give it a 9 out of 10. Episode 4, Trusty Trunky. This episode is the best international episode, in my opinion, because it has railway realism. In India, elephants helped out on the railways up until late 60s or early 70s, if my knowledge is correct. So, here I drew Trusty Trunky helping Thomas. So, the episode, Thomas is in India, again, for no apparent reason. Ashima tells Thomas, oh yeah, and we see Rajiv, and he gets a really good personality. Good job to Becky Overton, and good job for Davy Moore for the last time, and good job for everyone. But anyways, so then Thomas goes and he has a fantasy sequence, and it's unrealistic. Last fantasy sequence was unrealistic, but it was then same with the one before. And that brings me to a point that I'll probably discuss at some point. Anyways, so he says, "I need to stop daydreaming." And Trusty Trunky comes to his rescue and pushes him back on the rails. I give this episode a 9 out of 10. I think it's a good one because of its railway realism. And I think confusion and delay is great because it's just a good plot. It's nice seeing Scotsman. It's nice seeing Rebecca. I think she's the best new character, because the others don't have much personality. Like Nia, Hongmei, Lei. Next one. What Rebecca does. I drew her with her hoses. It's a little hose there. Looked like I held on by duct tape in the episode. And her shovel. And, when Victor and Kevin suit her up with them at Steamworks. This episode is my favorite of the season. So the plot is, Rebecca goes along. There's a building on fire. Belle puts it out. She wants to be like Belle. And then there's this really funny part with Bill and Ben. Bill and Ben are arguing over whose fault it is. And it goes, "It's your fault. You didn't warn me." "I did warn you." "Well, I didn't hear you." "Hi, Rebecca." "Hello, you two. How's this mess going to clear up?" "An engine with a crane. How wonderful. How cool is that?" "Cool." I can't do Harvey's voice. "I guess it is kind of cool." "You know it is." "Cool. I'm cool." And then he throws the crate, and then guy yells, "Hey, I threw that." Bill and Ben look at each other. "That's Harvey's fault." And then she sees, and she also sees Marion with her shovel, and it's nice to see Marion. She's one of my favorites. Same with Duck, who's going to be in this one as well. He's actually my favorite character. So Duck appears, and he has a line, but it does contribute to the plot, because then after hearing Duck and Emily, she goes to the Steamworks, has these things fitted, and then Victor says a funny line. He says, "Sorry, Rebecca, I don't think you're a crane, steam shovel, water cannon kind of engine." And then Thomas tells her that she makes everyone feel good about themselves, including Daisy. So, it's, first of all, awesome. We got to see Duck, Daisy, Harvey, Bill, and Ben. Those are classic characters. It's really awesome. It's nice to see Rebecca again. Nice to see Marion again. It's nice to see even Victor and Kevin. It's nice. Really good episode. The only bad thing, this episode is almost perfect. If it were perfect, this is what I give perfect episodes. An 11 out of 10. That's as high as my ranking go. So I give it a 10 for one reason. It was almost perfect. One thing was bad. The fantasy sequence. There's a Trackmaster model. It's this sort of producty placement in my eyes, at least. Might be different for you, but again, you can like this, hate it. I love the episode, just don't like the fantasy sequence. It's so unrealistic. She bounces up and down wearing sunglasses. Like actually bounces, not just the get the camera bouncing. It's like actual boing boing boing. Yeah. Next episode. But it was a good one. Next episode. Thomas goes to Bali. The actor, he not happy. There's Thomas. Cries, says, but I didn't have room to write. You were falling. So the plot is Thomas goes to India, and Ashima says, "Can you believe they're filming a Bollywood movie on the India Railway? Yes, a movie about Bollywood. What's up? Bollywood." And then Ashima explains it's another name for the Indian movie industry. And Rajiv is going to be in the movie. He's proud, of course. And I didn't like the fantasy sequence. Why are they so unrealistic? Like, they're locomotives. They should, like, they might have some unrealistic fantasy sequence, but some realistic ones as well would be nice. Well, in like Hunt the Truck or Hunt the Car, which I'll review later, that has a realistic fantasy sequence. Like, and like some, like even Thomas in the Wild has a believable, because he's told it's like a big black and white teddy bear, so he imagines a big black and white teddy bear for a giant panda. But I just didn't like he jumps over the Misty Island bridge, like the bridge from Misty Island Rescue. He saves Ashima, and anyways, back to the actual story. He meets the actor who says he has to pretend to be happy. He goes to shunt flowers. Rajiv is waiting, and he says, "Have they cut your action scene?" "No, I'm just waiting." "I'm not," and then he says, there's this one part, and he says, "Are you pulling cars?" "I'm not actually pulling cars. I'm acting." It's movie talk, you wouldn't understand. The actor's gonna fall for a scene, but Thomas doesn't know that, so he saves him. The actor gets mad. The director keeps the scene in the film. And Thomas has always wanted to be in a movie, but here's another thing, was this season, Thomas wants to do everything. Like, he always wants. He wants to see a giant panda, he wants to go around the world, he wants to go to the monkey palace. This episode was really, it was the minimum of good. It just doesn't feel like Thomas to me. Like, the character just seemed a bit, well, no, I take that back. It just wasn't the best. 7 out of 10. The minimum of good. Good. So, yeah. Yep.